Hello, I'm Jane Alalibo, your English teacher, as you know, and I'll be taking you on the topic Nouns, Part 3, which is Functions of Nouns. In our previous lessons, we've learned about nouns, and we've also learned about the different types of nouns that we have. Now we're going to look at the different functions of nouns in sentences, that is in our everyday speaking and in writing. What places do nouns take? Before we go into that, let's refresh our minds on what nouns are. Nouns are words which are used in naming people, places, animals, things, and ideas. Nouns have singular, which talks about one, and the plural forms, which talks about two. There are different types of nouns that we have, but some nouns fall into more than one group or type of noun. Now we are going to look at the different functions of nouns in sentences. I'm sure that you must have come across nouns performing these different functions, but you weren't really sure what they were doing there. You just use them generally. So now we're going to specify, we're going to take note of the different functions that nouns perform in our sentences. The first is nouns are subjects of sentences. That is, they perform the function of the subject in a sentence. A sentence is made up of the subject and the predicate. The predicate is made up of the verb and, in some cases, the object. The subject is the first part, that is the performer of the action in the sentence, while the predicate, which contains the verb, is the other part that tells you what the subject is doing or what the subject has done. For example, Emeka ran very fast. What did I say about the subject of the sentence? It is the person that performs the action. So, who ran very fast? Emeka. And Emeka is a noun, a proper noun. While the other part of the sentence is the predicate, which contains the verb and, in some cases, the object. But in this case, we don't have an object. It just contains the verb. It tells us what Emeka is doing or what Emeka has done. And what did Emeka do? He ran very fast. You see the noun as taking the place of the subject in the sentence. Chidera did her homework by herself. Who did her homework? Chidera. A noun has taken the place of the subject in the sentence. A noun can still perform the function of the object in a sentence. So you see that nouns are very, very hardworking. Virtually every sentence that we make has at least one noun. For example, I broke my pencil. Now we've learned that the subject is the one that performs the action. The object of a sentence is the one that receives the action. That is the one on whom the action is performed, or the object on which the action is performed. So to identify the object in a sentence, you can easily ask who or what received the action. I broke my pencil. I broke. So I is the subject, right? Yes. And we have the verb broke. That is the action. What did I break? The pencil. And pencil is a noun. It's a thing or an object. It is a noun. So you can see that a noun has taken the place of the object in this sentence. They repainted our house over the weekend. They repainted. They performed the action. So they is the subject. Repainted, the action. What did they repaint? What received the action? Our house. So house is the object of the sentence. House is a noun. You see how nouns take the place of objects in sentences. Nouns also act as subject complements. What do I mean by subject complements? We have learned that the subject of a sentence is the one that performs the action. So a noun can complement the subject. What do I mean by a noun can complement the subject? It can tell you more about the subject. You use another noun. Even if a noun is the subject, you can still use another noun to tell more about the subject. For example, the baby was named Aisha. The baby is a noun because it refers to a person, a little newborn person. The baby was named Aisha. Aisha is what they named baby. So you see that Aisha, which is another noun, tells you more about the first noun that we mentioned. So you see that it has complemented the subject. Uncle Peter is a policeman. Uncle Peter refers to a person, so it's a noun. Uncle Peter is a policeman. Policeman is a noun. And what type of noun is this? A little quiz for you. Policeman. It is a compound noun because it's a combination of two words to form one, and it refers to a person. Policeman tells you more about Uncle Peter. It complements the subject of the sentence. Nouns also function as object complements. Same way a noun can complement a subject, it can still complement the object of a sentence. That is, tell you more about the object in the sentence. They call their dog Murphy. They call, they perform the action, so they is the subject. Subject. What do? They call their dog. Verb, action. What do they call their dog? Object. It receives the action, it receives the call. And what do they call their dog now? They call their dog Murphy. What does Murphy tell you about? Murphy tells you about the dog. So you can see that Murphy, another noun, has complemented the object of the sentence, which is still a noun. They call their dog Murphy. The noun Murphy has described or told us more about the object, which is the function that we have here. Nouns are also object complements. Now, nouns also function as indirect objects. What are indirect objects? The indirect object in a sentence is the object that receives the main object in the sentence. Let's listen carefully. The subject performs the action. The action is the verb. The object receives the action. In some cases, this object is received by another object. Let's see an example now. Mother bought me a dress. Who bought? Mother. She's the one that performed the action. So, subject. Follow me carefully. What did mother do? She bought. Action. Now we're going to look for what she performed the action on. What did she do? She bought. What did she buy? We're looking at the verb now. She bought a dress. This is the main object. Me cannot be the main object. Why? We are not saying mother bought me. We're going to look for what the verb, which is the action, reflects on directly. So we say mother bought a dress. Who did she now buy a dress for? Who received this object that she bought? Me. So me is the indirect object. Remember we said the indirect object receives the direct object or the main object of the sentence. I hope you understood that if you followed me carefully. Let's see another example. Ifeoma lent her book to Mark. This one is a little bit easy because it's very clear. Ifeoma lent. So she is the subject because she performed the action. What did she do? She lent. Action, verb. What did she lend? She lent her book. That is the direct object because we're looking at what the verb reflects on directly now. She lent her book. Who did she lend her book to? That is who received her book. Mark. Mark is the indirect object. And Mark is a noun. Me too is a noun. Me refers to a person, although me is a pronoun. We use me in place of a person. We're going to learn more about this in our lesson to come on pronouns. But me refers to a person, making it a noun. Mark here is also a noun. You can now see that nouns take the place of the indirect objects in sentences. Now we're going to do a summary of everything which we have learned about nouns. Nouns are words which we use in describing people, a person, animals, places, things, or ideas. I'm sure you remember that. We also learned that nouns have singular and plural forms. The singular form talks about one, and the plural form talks about more than one, although we have nouns that do not have plural forms. We've just learned that nouns have different functions, and we saw that in our lesson today. And we also learned that we have different types of nouns, so many different types. Proper nouns, common nouns, compound nouns, collective nouns. You can go to our previous lesson to learn fully about the different types of nouns that we have. And we also learned in that same lesson that some nouns fall in different categories. Now, with this, our lessons which you have put together on nouns, I'm sure that you will be able to identify nouns and use nouns very, very correctly in your everyday speaking and in writing. This is the end of our lesson on nouns. I hope you have learned a lot because I have, as a matter of fact. Thank you and bye.